Fumble through! Fumble through! Fumble through! Fumble through! Fumbling through, fumbling through. Fumbling through, fumbling through. Fumbling through!
In lands where elves and dwarves roam free, dragons soar, majestic to see. Amongst fairies and trolls we find our place in a world of magic, where dreams embrace. Living among fantasy races, a wondrous grace. I knew I'd fuck that bit up. No matter the skin tone, black, white or blue, where we choose to spend time and fumble through.
Fumble through.
I'd like to do that line once again. In a world of magic where dreams embrace, living amongst fantasy races, a wondrous grace. That's the rhyming. That's the way it should have worked. These are the things, and this is why. Thank you, Lindsay. Thank you for clicking me through that. I appreciated that. And it's
I don't know how to boo in
duly noted.
poetry.
Well, it was duly noted. I was going to give you a boon, but now I'm not. So sucked in.
Nothing new.
You could have regathered one of your 2 XP points.
Yeah, just one of the two of them.
No, I had 3, thank you.
So, well, we are back here in the Fumble Factory, friends, folks, and fairy tales. I don't know what there's. You know what I was reading today? That on the day that this episode gets released, I think, or sometime around this time of year, I was just reading April facts, right? So because we're in the middle of April, I was reading April facts. Sometime in 1912, around this time of year, was when the Titanic sank after hitting an iceberg. 1912. That was 112 years ago. That's. It just does not seem. Anyway, it made me start thinking about all the things that have happened in the world, and particularly about the wonders of the world. Like, do you guys remember a TV show that was narrated, I believe, by Leonard Nimoy? That was like, it was like National Geographic, but it was like the wonders of the world. And then they'd go through like crop circles, and you'd go through and look at the old Bigfoot or old Loch Ness Monster and all of that kind of stuff. So here's what I want to talk about with you. When you were a kid, what were the things that actually captured your imagination like that? Like I can remember quite a few things of me just, it unlocked the, wow, the world is bigger than what I know kind of stuff. Or is
what TV shows or
no, just things like, you know, for example, I'll give you, maybe this might help, but there was a time where I was pretty obsessed with ghosts. So in my primary school library, they had like, the paranormal book, and they had these books where they had pictures, and in the pictures there was like these weird images where there was like, there was a ghost here or a haunting here or a thing here. That's where I learnt about the puppet that people thought was the most haunted puppet on the face of the earth and the most haunted places, and you know, all of that kind of stuff really it really captured my imagination. It's probably why I love horror movies so much.
Yeah, something similar like that. My dad, as you're telling me about this, and I'm remembering, my dad used to collect, you know, I used to get years ago those magazines, well, even now you probably still get them, like issue 1 for $5, and then every week it comes out and it's like $15 or whatever, and you get a collection of these magazines. Yeah. There was one called The Unexplained that my dad used to collect, and it was things like Bigfoot, it was things like UFO sightings, things like spontaneous combustion, ghosts,
that's the shit,
all that sort of stuff. And he had, I think
X-Files,
it's 2,
right?
Yeah, well, it's the thing, it had 2 or 3 files, I think, or it was weird how it came with the thing that you put them all together in was actually like a hardback, so it ended up being like an actual textbook, but all the individual copies of the magazine were in there as obviously pages within the book itself. And I remember being obsessed with reading these things and scaring the crap out of myself. And it was not long after that the X-Files came out, and then there was a whole, like you say, plethora of programs, because there was one with the guy that played Will Riker, similar sort of thing. It was like an unexplained sort of like National Geographic kind of thing where he'd talk about all these weird stuff. It was around about the same time as Mulder and Scully. X-Files, thank you. Sorry. Yeah, so there was a big
that was
space.
Jonathan Frakes, that guy? Or Will Wheaton?
Not Will Wheaton. He was
Riker was the guy with the beard.
Riker was
Frakes,
the number one.
Okay,
Yeah. So that was one of my thing. I think when I was younger, like opening it up and expanding that
But
idea.
what were the things inside that? So not just the books, but when you read them, what are the things that you remember going, oh, it's going to be an issue about this thing, or like in the X-Files, they went from aliens to ghosts, chupacabra.
Oh, but I think by the time I, how do you mean? So by
Like
the time I
what-
got to my
what's-
dad's magazines, he'd already
No,
collected
but
the
what
whole lot.
specific things triggered your imagination in
The
inside of
UFO
those?
stuff more
Yeah.
than anything.
Yeah.
Absolutely, the UFO stuff. Yeah, the
Okay.
sightings and like the photographs and things like that.
How do you feel about the new footage and all the stuff that they're releasing about? Because they're not called UFOs anymore; they're called unidentified.
I don't know. There's too many other
objects
things
in
that fly
space
around
or
in our
something.
skies these days that we could probably attribute to military stuff now. That's
Or
just
Elon
being
Musk.
very, yeah. Or
Well,
just
no,
being
they've
very.
come out and said
I know
that
they've come out and said, but
they've got unidentified things. So
Mhm.
whether or not it is another spaceship or if it's another,
They've got them.
the
And it's
government,
fucking identified. It's that thing.
the US
I've
government
identified it.
No, they don't know what it is, but they
Right.
have come out and because they've done all the what's it called when statutory or limitations, whatever it is,
Oh, yeah, it's
freedom
past-
of information,
yeah.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
They've come out from stuff in the past and said this is what we know. So we know there was a Roswell crash. Don't know what it is.
Right.
Because they're called UAPs now. I just
Yeah.
looked it up. Unidentified aerial phenomena.
They've confirmed a lot of these sightings are real, but they just don't know what they are, whether it be aliens or some other country's random shit.
But like,
Right.
didn't Area 51, that's a thing that I was like, oh, fuck, that's cool. Like,
or even
Yeah,
there was
the
a movie
idea
that
of
came
it.
out about it as well called Fire in the Sky. So there was an
I
abduction of
remember
some guy. That was a scary film.
Yeah.
Scary film, especially where he's on the table and they're doing all the weird shit to him and all that kind of thing. Because the aliens that they actually presented them were like greys,
Yeah.
but they didn't have the big eyes. That was their suits. And when they got out, they were pink like us and had like really wrinkled, hairless faces with little beady eyes as well. They were creepy as. Really creepy.
what about you, Lindsay? Did any of that stuff?
No.
Yes, you grew up in a different decade to us.
Yes. Mine was more kind of like experiences. So certain things that just would trigger my imagination was like going camping and when it's pitch black and you see the night sky for the first time. And that kind of vastness freaking just blew me away of, shit, I'm this tiny little speck in this, ever-growing world, let alone ever-growing universe.
There was never a phenomenon that sort of like the idea of a werewolf
That
or a
wasn't your
Dracula
question.
or it kind of
It's
was.
changed into that question, but that wasn't your question.
No, well, the question.
So I'm answering your question.
the question.
Point of order, Your Honour.
Well, I think you've interpreted my question in some way.
Isn't that what a question's for?
Well, maybe.
Read out your question exactly what you've got written there.
Weird fascinations that you got in your brain, but the whole thing was around
Yeah, weird
preface with things like
fascinations.
the X-Files.
I'm with you there, Lynn. Do you ask about what opened up the world? And
Yeah.
No, but open it up to things that aren't within your, like the supernatural and the things that that aren't like the vastness of space is a scientific thing. What I'm trying to get to is more of what things as a kid that you like. I was obsessed with Billy the Kid as a kid, but I'm not going to talk about that
Oh,
now.
well, you should have been
it's
more
more like
specific.
werewolves or myth or legend or UFOs or unexplained. The unexplained,
Well,
the fascinating.
We had a friend of the family who had a ghost. I never
Right.
saw it, but to have all the adults continually talk about this fucking
Uh-huh.
ghost, that was very interesting.
Yeah.
Because I was probably about 7. And apparently this ghost would do things like, and I'd be in the house, but I'd just never see anything. But like, if they were like vacuuming and the phone was ringing, it would unplug the vacuum so they could hear the phone and
Helpful.
stuff like that. Or if they were looking for nails, the nails would fall off the shelf or whatever, like that
Wow.
kind of stuff. But
Cool.
like, that was like the first time as like, because like you get brought up, oh, there's no such thing as monsters or anything like that. And to have 4 adults talking about this ghost that I'd never seen. But yeah, that was weird.
We would go camping and sit around the fire, and relatives would tell stories of supernatural things from back in India, which would both, I think, do what Justin's asking, like open up a whole intrigue about it, but scare the shit out of me.
The Patney Buri.
Paintybury, like these women that would seduce men, their feet were on backwards, that, like scary stuff and real life stories about them in people's lives that, the people knew. So I always found that very fascinating, but I've always had, because I was going a different direction to you, like you were, Lindsay, but if we're going this way, I've always had a fascination with tarot cards, with palm reading, with, that's grown into a fascination with magic and how we can foil people's perceptions of the world and get them to think about things in different ways. One of my favorite sayings from a magic book, I think it's Mark Wilson's magic book, and he talks about two magicians on a train, and one magician says, "Look, all those sheep have been shorn." And he went, "Well, on this side they have," because that's a magician's thinking. You can only be sure about what you can see right there. Don't make an assumption about the whole sheep, because, I've always had a fascination about that and going, actually, yeah, what is the other side of that? And is it what I'm conceiving in my brain, or what's the reality of that? Or that kind of, I think the tarot, the palm reading started me on a journey to think about not taking things for granted, but always kind of wanting to be sure that the thing I'm assuming is right.
See, I find myself as I'm getting older, I am more open to that kind of stuff now than I was as a kid. Like, I find the kind of mystical side and, the legends and all that seem more intriguing, and there's got to be like one of the things I'm always interested about is, I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before, is dragons. Dragons are the only mythological creature that is in every culture's mythos, and that just seems.
Are they in Egypt?
Yep.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And it just seems a bit strange to be like, yes, okay, maybe they found dinosaur bones or something like that. But it just seems a bit strange that that one mythological creature is in every culture's mythos, and then that kind of stuff. I find I'm more open and accepting now as I question things with a intellectual brain than I was as a kid.
That's very interesting to me, because I was obsessed with the ideas of vampirism, like the Vlad the Impaler, the werewolf tales, the thinking that there'd be something out, some creatures in the mist, or something that's in the beyond, or in the afterlife, or in the different worlds, or like the unexplained has always grabbed me, and I've been like, isn't that really interesting? What could that possibly be in the world?
Well,
I wonder if that's generationally different, though, because the 80s, there was a lot of shit in the 80s that dealt with that. Like, the Thriller thing where he turned into a werewolf, Ghostbusters.
The whole Vincent Price kind of B movie stuff.
All of that stuff.
I kind of think of it as part of it is a lot of my generation were raised as atheists or have become atheists. And something about atheism just doesn't sit right with me, and I can't ever figure out why. And so but I also don't really believe in a single religion has the whole thing right. So the more I kind of tried to figure out, while I think there's a greater being out there or something greater than I am, the more I tried to investigate that, the more I had to be open to different possibilities and accept things that would click with what I think is going on in the universe.
So the agnostic.
Yeah.
No. Anyway, I find this stuff really interesting. I just remember sitting late at night under sheets looking at stuff and just being like, what the fuck is out there?
Yeah, that's why I never watch horror movies. It scares
but
me.
not even horror movies. Like, even watching, like, as ridiculous as I know Finding Bigfoot is, that TV show, the idea that there's guys out there going, I found a Sasquatch, I'm going to do Sasquatch, go walk, and I'm going to eat the pizza. Pizza's fine, Sasquatch, putting it on a tree, and then he's like, I'm going to eat some more.
I believe that one's obviously been disproven now. With the amount of people with phones and cameras on their body at all time that are out in the woods, we would have some sort of evidence by now better than a grainy photo.
But there's an assumption. So here's one that I'll put to you, because the Loch Ness Monster and Bigfoot I kind of put in the same idea. Bigfoot I think is probably a bit more of a myth, but if there was this creature, like, just say in a world where the Loch Ness Monster was a dinosaur that was left over. And some reason this dinosaur had family, it's the last of its kind. How long is it going to last for before it dies and then it's gone anyway? It becomes extinct. So, even if the idea of a Bigfoot or a Sasquatch or whatever was around, how long before they become extinct? How long before?
Or it's a kaiju and it just goes dormant for ages until it's called up because...
Until we have giant robots to fight them.
See, I think Loch Ness Monster is more believable than Bigfoot because that could just be a misconception because, like, you can get sturgeons. Everyone know what a sturgeon is?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Guy that operates on you when your heart goes to you.
You can get sturgeons up to 8 meters long, right?
The thing
that
our
live in
parents
fresh water.
wanted us to be.
Right.
And they are deep and never really come to the surface except for a brief second and make a big wave, or you'll see a big, long, 8 meter long body and disappears and you can never find it again. That seems much more believable than...
Yeah. Well, I guess
As a
that's where the
misconception,
tales of
but, yeah.
mermaids came from, was from seeing like
Dugongs.
dugongs sitting on, and then men were so hard up on boats. They're like, ugh, that looks like it's got some nice round juicy bits.
Too much rum.
Yeah.
The beer goggles on.
There. Anyway, dicey question. I've got one for you.
Fuck.
If you could live in any fantasy race and be part of their culture, which one would you like to choose? What would draw you there and describe what it's like in your imagination? So think about the core rule books, the
I got it.
D&D, Pathfinders, like I'm thinking dwarves, elves, that kind of generic kind of
Not
kind
Triple
of-
X fantasy.
kind of stuff. No.
Okay.
I was just after the interpretations of my questions, I want to be very specific.
We all went there.
that like I'm thinking of a race in a fantasy role-playing game and you go there to live.
I got it. Gnome.
Okay, what would draw you there?
Well, gnomes in Pathfinder universe basically live forever until they get bored.
Mm-hmm.
So
the bleaching,
Yeah.
you're talking about, because they come from historically gnomes come from a different plane.
Yep.
And they came to Galorian and they have to seek adventure, otherwise they lose their colors and they get bleaching as they get older and
Yeah.
older.
Why?
So living forever unless you get bored, that sounds pretty sweet. I don't really get bored.
I don't know that they live forever. I think it's just as they get older and they can't adventure, they lose their colors and stuff. It's that
No,
through-
the
through-
I
bleaching.
thought that was fairies that did that.
it's
not
part.
gnomes.
It's the whole Fae, because
Okay.
gnomes are part Fae. In
if
this.
if they stay in a place for too long,
Mhm.
they start to bleach, and that's when they start to die. They need to keep moving and experience new things. That's the way I read it in the first rule book.
Okay,
I haven't read it in the new one,
fair enough.
but yeah,
And
I just
what-
think that
what-
sounds cool.
Describe what it's like in your imagination then, Lindsay, because you got the big strokes. Talk to me about the day-to-day, the societies, the
Are we in
cultural...
the modern
the
times?
no,
with,
in the fantasy world. Like, talk to me about like the daily stuff that, like, I get that your idea is that you got to keep moving, but what's it like living in that society? What's it like living amongst the gnomes? Like, what's it like? And I'm talking about you living amongst the gnomes.
I think it's pretty free living. I think hippies
Mm-hmm.
is kind of what I'm thinking. Is what it'd be, because they're part of the Feywild, so everything's kind of crazy and magical and hippies and free love and all that jazz.
Okay. Do you think that it would be full of partying? It would be very stoic? What would the people be like in your imagination?
Yeah, it's probably pretty party-ish, party strong. I don't know. I think you'd have a bit of both. I think it would just depend on the time and why you're gathering. If you're gathering to celebrate, to remember Uncle Ferdinand's bleaching ceremony, it might not be as good.
What about you, Luke? Have you ever thought about living in a fantasy genre? Or
Yeah,
what it'd be
no,
like?
I was just, I don't know about race. I like to sidestep the question a little bit. I was thinking more of the druidic kind of like communing with nature and living in that space.
Amongst the druids.
Yeah.
okay.
Picking a race specifically in that space. I don't know.
No,
something-
druids
yeah.
is fine.
Yeah, so druids would, that's how I would look at it. That whole idea of like just using the land and working with the land in a real organic, natural way, and just not being reliant on much else.
Being
other than
super
just your-
harmonious.
yeah, and your ability to manipulate that space to kind of like not in a nefarious way, but to suit
to
your
be
needs.
symbiotic
Yeah,
with
yeah,
it.
symbiotic. There you go. That's the word.
So what's life like in the druid world?
Pretty chill, I'd say. I didn't really know what else to say. I mean, like, you know,
Like in your imagination, what's like the daily activities, the things that druids do?
Putting up more mistletoe in case the ladies come around.
that's right. Yeah, get a vine or a root to kind of grow into a toilet shape, take a shit, and I don't know. It just seems like, you know,
I don't know that it, like, I mulled that and I went, oh, I think actually there's a fair bit of work into keeping the garden maintained.
absolutely, yeah, no, but that's
But
where you
it's
find your
positive
joy.
work,
Yeah,
right?
but that's right where you find your joy is actually working the
Right.
land and seeing it grow, rather than, you know, the opposite of that, the industrious kind of ideology. I guess kind of like the thing that Tolkien was trying to portray in Lord of the Rings, where like the industrious machine was the orcs cutting stuff down in
Yeah.
the furnace, whereas everybody else was the more older way of organically living with the.
Do you bring parts of that into your life now? You a big gardener, a horticulturalist?
Not really, no.
Do you shit in the garden?
On people's driveways, maybe, but
That's garden related.
no. But we're in a space now where we're actually developing our backyard.
Do you
and
get
stuff
joy
like that.
from gardening?
Well, we haven't got to that bit yet. We're still in the proprietary stage where I'm loafing
I get
around.
no joy from gardening.
I think gardening is like going to the gym. You go regularly, but the payoff is over time.
I
So we're looking
get
for
zero joy.
We're going
I
to get
love
like
gardening.
lemon tree. We're going to get olive tree and all that sort of stuff. A herb garden. We're going to start growing now in the backyard. So I'm actually pretty pumped about that. Be able to cook stuff and use stuff that's been grown in our garden.
I have I have a very nice garden. My wife loves gardening. She's out there all the time, and I often look at her and she can while away the hours watering plants and digging, and I'm just like, oh, that there is nothing about that
No? We're getting some chooks.
About it that
We're getting some
intrigues
chooks
me.
as well. I'm looking forward to some homegrown eggs.
I hate it. Everything I do in the
I'm up for
garden
that.
is not wanted. Kicking and screaming, I'm doing it. I hate it.
I don't mind a herb garden. I think that's kind of I don't like
You're a
mowing.
man.
I don't like.
It's the gnomes in you talking.
I don't like doing like mowing or pruning the trees and all of that stuff. I don't mind
Yeah,
a little
well,
herb garden
yeah.
because there's something productive about it and it's useful. I don't mind a chili tree and coriander in my thing and basil and a tomato plant, but then I also don't care if it doesn't grow anything because Coles is just around the corner.
See, if I have to go out there, I'm using some machine to destroy something.
Right.
That's my
Good idea.
So completely the opposite of what I was saying.
Cutting the grass is actually the like I do get some satisfaction, I guess. I hate doing it, but I get satisfaction out of it.
I hate it.
Trimming the hedgerow.
But there's something about I like the older stuff like that, like making your own bread as well. I like
started doing that.
the concept, but not on a bread making machine. Like
No,
actually
neither do I.
kneading the dough properly and keeping a culture for your sourdough and just I know
Do you
it's
do
high
that?
maintenance. I don't do it because I don't have the time to do it. That's why
It's
I go to
British,
Coles.
they're not cultured.
That's right.
He's just appropriated it from somewhere
It's
else.
one of the things I love about here actually is like your
Get it
local
from
baker,
Coles.
your local butcher, all those like local kind of like smaller of like family /
Artisan.
are still very much prominent here in Australia, whereas
Yeah.
in the UK, not so much.
Really?
chain.
Yeah, really not so much.
It's chains. Of
It's all
things.
been stripped bare by Tesco and
Yeah.
other
Wow. Okay.
large supermarkets have just made it almost impossible for apart from the very, very, very high end,
Yeah,
okay.
special where you go and you're like, I'll have a loaf of bread. and that's-
$600.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly right.
And I guess we're going that way. Like, I'd see more and more of that disappearing. Like just around the corner from me, like the little local shop disappeared the other day. I went there and I was like, I didn't realize that had gone. I'm like, yeah. And then my wife's like, oh, that's really sad that they've gone. I was like, when was the last time you bought something from there? Because I could not tell you. I was like, I didn't support them. I go to Coles.
We go to the local bakery all the time, like 3 times a day for pies sometimes. But no, like seriously, I like making bread and I love waking up to and chucking some bread in and having nice hot bread for breakfast in the morning. I think that's the best. I loved when we used to go to the bakery in the morning and get it hot. Can't do that anymore. They won't serve you the hot stuff because
Someone burnt themselves at some
legal
point, ruined it
bullshit.
for everyone.
But I think that's beautiful. I love that stuff. I think that's great.
It was one of the things I loved about when I was in Paris on Sunday mornings. Everybody goes to their local bakery
Yeah.
and gets a baguette.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah,
Like it's freshly
and a
made.
fromagerie for some cheese
Yeah.
and
And
Yeah.
it saves you so much fucking money when you start to figure it out. baking your own bread, that is. Like, it doesn't seem like much, but when you're buying, like, going through a couple of loaves a week.
It only saves you money if you don't value your time.
Yeah. But it doesn't take much.
But also, you know what you're putting into your own bread, whereas a lot of the time with this
3
manufactured
ingredients,
stuff, you don't
bread,
really
yeast,
know.
salt,
It
water.
is time. I think that's the whole thing. Like, again, holidays, I've started doing cooking today. Instead of using some jar ingredients, I was like, I'm going to cook this mofo from scratch. I did so. I loved it. Tasted great. It was excellent. I don't think I'll do that again until the next holidays. It'll be jars from between here and then because you just don't have time in the.
So
what do you do?
I love that on a weekend.
What do you do with all your free time then?
What? Masturbate.
Tennis elbow.
No, seriously, serious question. What do you do with all that extra free time? That 5 minutes that saved you from...
It didn't. No, for me to make a bechamel sauce, which is what I made today from scratch. Like,
okay, 15 minutes.
That's a series of time. It's not 15 minutes. 15 minutes
If
once
you-
the stove starts, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of prep to it. It's like painting a
But
wall.
also, if you haven't done it for a long time, it takes a lot longer.
Yeah.
Once you're into the business
it's-
of doing it regularly, it gets
but
quicker.
it's also, you've got to have the stuff. You've got to know what you're doing. You've got to kind of plan it out a little because there's no, like, in the middle of that, it's like making
Okay, so how long did it take you?
making stuff to do it.
Yes.
I probably set aside a good hour to make the entire.
And what did you do with that hour?
I cooked.
No, if you didn't cook, what would you have
Use a
done with
jar.
that hour?
I would have watched a television show and masturbated
There we go.
and stuff. No, but
Same
I mean,
wide
the
outcome.
difference though, Lindsay, is that when you get home from work and you're cooking, like you get home from work at 5 o'clock and dinner's got to be on the table at like 6:30. By the time I get home and I've cleaned up and done the dishes and done all the stuff, like I've got that cuts down your time and all that kind of stuff. So it's the convenience of doing that. And I find the enjoyment of it is definitely there and the want to do it is definitely there. But there are times where it's just like, I don't have time to do that. Like if I go to the gym on one of my cooking nights, I can't make it to a place. Like we do this here and this is one of the nights that that is my designated
That's the point,
night.
though. You've prioritised gym over cooking. That's where you spend your time.
Yeah, but you can't. I don't prioritize gym over cooking. It's that gym is part of my regular. I prioritize gym over cooking.
Yeah. See, I'm in
Process that as I said.
Yeah. I get home and cook and I quite often have a toddler in my arms because she doesn't want to be put down because she's hungry.
Yeah.
And I got to cook while holding the toddler and to
Yeah.
get her fed by 5:30 because it can't be later than 5:30 because she'll lose her shit.
Yeah.
And then they're in bed by 7. Like that's my regular routine is that couple hour block is set. And if I wasn't cooking, I wouldn't have anything to do within that that
play with
half
your
hour
kids?
block.
Spend time with the kids. Go and play
But I'm
Legos.
doing that. I'm doing that now with them while
Yeah.
cooking.
And see, I can't because my kids won't stand around while
Yeah,
I'm
but that's
cooking.
what I'm saying. You're saying that
I got a good part of an audiobook to listen to while I was cooking, and
Yeah,
that
but I
was
do that too.
delightful. It was delightful.
Or I've recently taught my daughters sea shanties. So I've taught them old 1600 sea shanties. So we have them on now while we cook and stuff like that.
I'm hearing all of this and I think I'm genuinely time poor because weekdays I'm out of here at 6:30, 7 o'clock. I come home at 6 o'clock. We do dinner. We get the boys to bed. I do some homework with them. It's 9 o'clock. And then on any given night, I've got either a PNC, which I'm secretary for, this, which I'm either editing or recording, another game I'm playing. Wednesday night's free, but Dimity's out. So I'm kind of doing something
You're
else.
masturbating.
Yeah. And then weekends is work sometimes, most of the times, or there's family stuff you've got to do. And that's where I go. On Saturday, I'll go, all right, I'll get up early. I'll make 3 meals before I make tonight's meal and I'll put them in the freezer. And I thoroughly enjoy that. And I'll have the stove going with 3 different things going, and that's an economy of time
Is
for
that
me.
energizing for you to do that?
I really enjoy it. And I don't look, I enjoy it because I enjoy the pleasure of other people eating the food that I cook.
Yeah.
And so tonight we had risotto that I cooked like a couple of weeks ago, and I pulled it out and, put some Parmesan on it. It was great. Loved it. Just so it was fantastic while it was whatever. Dimity was like whatever. But I really like going, we had a risotto. We never have risotto. We don't cook risotto. I got a fresh ham. I got fresh peas. I shucked them. We did, all of that stuff. It was great. So good.
And that's kind of what I'm kind of saying is like, I've never heard someone say that cooking is a waste of like you don't have the time to cook. I've never heard anyone go, I
But
don't have the time to cook.
It's literally energy as well. Like coming home and knowing that you've got to do that. Like it's so much easier. I think I'll challenge you on this one, Lindsay. If that was the case, there wouldn't be so many jars of stuff that you could add and make 5 minute.
No,
like,
it is a big
you
thing.
look at cooking, it's like 5 minute, 1 pot meals.
Yeah.
Like it's why it's so popular is that people go, the amount of time that I have to think about cooking, I want it to be minimized. The amount of cooking time on one of those busy days when I'm just frantic. Like, you're going from this, and then by the time it's 9:30 at night, you're like, now I can sit down and think about, like, I've got to get through all of this. Or like the hour that you're talking about with the kids, I used to call that arsenic hour.
Yeah.
Because it's literally, you get home, the kids got to get food into the kids, then you got to clean up after that because that's like watching the Cookie Monster fucking eat.
Yep.
And
But
then
that's
you've
why
got
I'm
to clean up after that. Then you've got to bath people. Then you've got routines set when you've got young kids. Routines are so much easier when kids get older. When you start doing things like going, okay, you know what tonight is? Someone's got to take one of the kids swimming. Now we've got to have dinner done before swimming, or somebody's got to do dinner after swimming, and nobody's there, or two people, you got to split your difference, or someone's got to go there to pick someone up. Like, you just become time poor and energy poor, and you're like, I don't have the time to, nor will my kids appreciate the time that I put in as well.
So
I guess that's another thing.
So we're in, I guess at home with us, the system that we've got is I'll get home from work, Sarah will cook the dinner, I will clean up after while Sarah goes and baths the baby, and then the kids get into bed.
Mm-hmm.
So the system works well at the moment. I get what you're saying, because now we're getting into a space where horse riding is coming in, taekwondo for is coming in, and there'll be something else after that. But what we haven't done for a long time, but we will have to get back into the habit of doing, is when we cook, we make additional amount to then freeze for another evening. We do have cheat nights where we'll do pasta pesto. And that's actually a jar of pesto in the pasta that's boiled up, toast some pine nuts, fry off some salami, off we go. Real quick meal. But we certainly got into a habit of not using jarred stuff, and it was because we'd watched that sugar movie, and we were like, processed stuff, because it's just full of crap. Because we started to actually look at what was in these jars, what's in cereal boxes and all that stuff. We were like, oh, crikey, it's actually, especially after my heart thing, it was like, that's shocking. So we got into the habit of buying jars of passata, which is literally,
tomatoes.
and off we go. And we make our own sauces for pasta and things like that. And certainly find that far more beneficial health-wise. And the thing is as well, I love cooking. When we had Elise, we used to fight over who was doing the cooking. Because we both enjoy it. I would come home from work, and Sarah had been with Elise all day, and it was like, you take her. No, I want to do the cooking. No, I want to do the cooking. And we ended this big fight about who was doing the cooking. But we just both really enjoy it. We've learned to stay out of the kitchen when the other person's in there, because that ends in a disaster.
Well, that's marriage, isn't it? The entire marriage is someone standing in front of the drawer you want to open.
So, like, the one thing we've had to stop doing since we've had kids is no longer, we don't get to cook together anymore. We used to always cook together. Like, you start on the, chopping the meat, doing the meat, and I'll do the veggies, and we used to do it all that way. And now we don't do that because we are doing the same thing. Like, whoever gets home first is cooking, and the other person is doing the kids bathing, all that kind of stuff. But like, granted, my wife is really good at cleaning, but we managed to get it all done by 7 to get them both in bed so that we can each read. We each have one to read stories to and all that kind of stuff. And
I get where further along the line, it'd be
further along the
problematic
line,
when the
it's
kids are older and
different.
trying to get the timing right.
It's not even like, there's some days where Timothy's not home till 7:30.
Yeah.
Like, or she'll sit in the car talking to someone at work out on our foot. Like, you guys have seen it. You've come home. She's been in the car talking to someone because work is kind of shit. And so I'm like, all right, it's on me tonight. I'll do all this stuff. And it's fine because, we both do it for each other. But the time isn't there. That's why I think I'm genuinely time poor. I don't know where I enjoy the 5-minute game I've got on my phone. I don't get as much PlayStation time as I'd love to. I don't read books anymore. I got time in the car when I'm driving. I get to listen to an audiobook. That's a relief. But more and more now, that's phone call time. Genuinely, I feel like I'm time poor. But I'm outcome rich. All of the things I'm doing, I really fucking enjoy. So, the payoff is fine. I just need to go prioritize the thing that's in front of you now, be in the moment, do the thing now. I spent 10 minutes with my youngest today because he woke up from a nap, And we had a really lovely chat and a really nice time. And I was like, see ya, I'm going downstairs to record. But a really good 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So the answer to my question is a hobbit.
Dwarves. we got no time to finish that. Dwarves.
Wow, I forgot all about that question.
Yeah. Cooking became a much more interesting conversation.
There we
Maybe
go.
we'll revisit the other one at
I
some
don't know
point
why
in
we're
time.
still doing dicey questions because we
Yeah.
just end up on these tangents so much.
Yeah. I mean,
I thought the dicey question was the first thing you asked.
right.
Yeah.
no, I just
Lied.
wanted to
What-
talk
what-
about
what-
We've
something.
literally just done 3 intros
One
tonight.
of the reasons why I'm time poor is there's a 3-hour episode to edit down
Yeah.
every Sunday night that takes me till 3 o'clock
Yeah.
in the morning.
Yeah, that is a bit of time poorness. I remember back when I was editing. Thank you, Brett, for taking over, because it was stressing me out because I had no time for anything during that time, and that I was really feeling this squish. And I guess that's the whole thing is how much time and energy do you have? The other thing I'm actually reflecting on cooking. I've got 3 different
Dietary requirements.
requirements in my house
Yeah.
as well. So cooking becomes very interesting because I can't just make one thing. I have to think about it and then make something else, or and then when you make a certain thing that might hit all the dietary requirements, someone inevitably is going to be like, I'm making noodles.
I don't like
Yeah.
this.
Or whatever. But and I guess that's part of it as well. But
We're still in the beauty stage of that's all you're getting.
yeah. Well, whereas mine are old enough to make their own stuff, because I'm certainly like, if they don't like it, I'm like, just sort yourself out. Like, there's food in there. You tell me there's nothing, but there is. So yeah. But also, there is a moment where I prioritize other things like sitting on the couch and watching TV.
Well, that's okay though, right?
And drinking.
Because you need your downtime.
Yeah, I do. I've got to have the energy to smack the children.
Oh, so glad he said children.
Yeah, do you know what I was wondering? Slapping the salami.
That's what I meant.
Choke the chicken.
Oh, gross. Anyway, that's a really nice segue into not talking about that. And a gibbering mouther is probably something that we should be talking about. So, like when we last sat down at the table, you guys had entered inside the Black Ross Museum. You've gone downstairs into the basement level. You've gone into a room and hit some stone statues up. Then you went into another room and there was some desks with some writing that you couldn't understand. You walked into a third room, on that side, full of bookshelves and a shrieking mushroom, which you ran away from till it stopped shrieking. You came the other way. You fought a it was a chimera, a stuffed chimera. Then you came into what was a storage room, which is where you are at the moment. Boxes, crates, barrels, all that kind of stuff, like the Indiana Jones storage area. And from behind one of them, an amorphous blob full of eyes and mouths and tongues came out, called a gibbering mouther. I know that you call it a gibbering mouther. I don't know what it's called. But yes, it talks all the time. It encapsulate. It smothers people. And it did so to Cinder. Cinder was deep inside it after Cinder was very bravely on the front line of fighting before it was dispatched, and you guys find yourselves inside of this room. Well, what are you going to do?
We're going to detect magic around the room, I think.
Nice. Good shape.
Okay.
Well done, Flopsy.
Detecting magic again. Magic is strong all through this place. Everything that seems to have wards and protecting
It's a
and
gun of
stuff on it. So detecting magic doesn't really ping anything unusual, I guess. You're looking for
Nothing in particular.
different magical
Yeah.
auras,
Right.
something that stands out, something that would be amiss or,
Well, with my ability, I get to do all 3 rounds
Yeah.
immediately, right? So
Yeah,
I see,
so-
that's a
conjuration,
enchantment.
transmutation,
Yeah.
it's strong, it's weak,
Yeah.
all of that kind of stuff.
Masturbation.
What you did come in here for was around doors. Is really what you had started in here for.
Oh, well, that's not what I was.
Oh, what were you going to do?
Well, I thought we were. So back to the notes that we originally took is what is her name? Marissa.
Emirate.
Emirata.
Yeah. Imrazade.
Emrazade. She took
Cross.
the.
You
she
guys
was-
gave me so much shit about my god's name when I couldn't get that right. And
Yeah,
you just
because
watched
it's your-
him fumble his ass through that word.
It's
there.
your god. You should know your god's name.
He's got a point. Like,
No, he
this
doesn't.
is a
No,
person
no,
you've
no.
heard like 3 times. This is a lady you've never even met.
Yeah. Well, if you called your wife the wrong name, what would happen?
My wife,
I don't know. I'm not brave enough to try that one.
my wife called me by some other dude's name the other day. Who'd name their kid wrong hole though?
Anyway, Emrazade originally had taken this thing down to a storeroom, is what we had heard.
Mhm.
So I'm checking the storeroom for anything that looks like it's been opened recently.
Yeah. All right. So you start looking around, doing a bit of a perception
Is this,
E-I-E-I-O.
is this the room with the guy with the acided off legs?
23.
No, that was the other room.
Okay.
That was the room where you found the papers that
Yeah,
obviously were
Got
written
it.
by her with notes, but you couldn't decipher because none of you can read Osiriani,
Well, that's
nor
not
can you decipher that kind of stuff. So what did you get? Sorry, Lindsay?
23.
23. There is a door behind a stack of cartons in the southernmost wall. So the door leads into somewhere else, but you can see on the other side of this door there's fungus kind of coming through the cracks, or like little tendrils of fungal growths and that kind of like something's there. It kind of looks the same color as that other room that you went into with the shrieking mushroom. You see nothing in here that looks like stuff's been opened. A lot of this stuff's just been here for a long time.
Hey, Floppity.
Hello.
Looks like we got more mushrooms in here.
Mm.
Do you want me to like open the door, you throw a bomb in and I close the door?
Well, is that okay with your god?
I mean, my god is not the god of mushrooms.
Oh, I thought it was very prevalent. Sorry.
No, he's the god of friendship. I don't know why those dwarves give us mushrooms, but they do seem to make people more friendly.
Right. Well, yes. Well, what do you want me to get rid of the mushrooms in that room?
I just think maybe stop him from shrieking or burn off some of the spores, but well, I don't know. I don't want to go in there, do you?
The bombs I've got will only do a very, very small area.
Oh, I was hoping for something fiery. What the fuck are you doing, Luke?
I'm just trying to make my dice glow. They glow in the dark. They haven't been in the light for very long. Sorry.
I thought you were losing your mind for
No,
a second.
no.
I don't know. Do we have anything burny? What gets rid of mushrooms? Fungicide.
Do you think the mushrooms may be flammable?
I'm hoping that, yes, mushrooms don't like heat, right?
But a spark won't ignite them.
I'm hoping like the fire will burn up any of the spores in the air and then we can move our way through.
I can't do that.
Okay.
I could do a very small area, or I could do a very small thing with a very small amount of heat.
Okay, well, how about we just light a torch and throw it in and just see if what happens?
What else is in that room? Is there books in that room?
I don't know.
Well, we'll have to ascertain what we might damage. Otherwise, there might be some valuable knowledge that we are destroying.
Okay, come over here. I'll open the door,
Yes.
count to 5, and then I'll close the door.
Oh, shit.
You observe everything you can. Okay?
Yes.
So you take the moments away and you move the because it's stuck behind a whole heap of like crates and stuff. So you're gonna have to sort of excavate to get in there and
That's fine. I got muscles.
to actually be in there. So you move some of the crates away, some of the barrels, and you clear the way in front of this door. It becomes more apparent as you open the door, like even under the crack of the door, the roots of fungus and like, you know, those bits of fungus are sort of growing around the door a little bit, and you can see hints of it from the other side. It becomes apparent to everyone, not just one person.
What else can we see underneath that? Is it kind of, can we see what it's...
No, it blocks the jamb of the door. If it,
Gotcha.
like, yeah, imagine. I guess it belies the idea that the other side of the door is covered or carpeted in a fungus.
If I
of
stamp
some
on one of
sort.
the roots poking through, does the screaming start?
No.
Good.
No.
It's not. It is not sentient. That is a good sign.
Flopsy's going to tie a cloth around his face so that it might protect him from some spores. Allergies, man, allergies.
Well, that's a good idea. I'll do the same.
And just step to the side and make a waving action for Tia to walk on in, as Floxy thinks is the right way to go.
Mm-hmm.
Off you go, my lady.
Miles
Yes.
opens the door.
The door is stuck.
I use my strong muscles.
Mm-hmm.
12.
The door is stuck.
Tio, do you want to have a go? It's a bit jammed.
Tia's just going to put the boot into the door.
Now we can't close it.
Remember, 6 intelligence.
11.
The door is stuck.
Reggie's going to get up.
Spits on his head.
Yeah, here we go. Do I do a strength surge? No. 15.
The door is stuck.
Oh, together now.
Is it a pull or a push?
Maybe it's rotating. I don't know. Maybe it's locked. Is it locked?
No,
Right.
it's like you kind of move and there's a sponginess to it, I guess, like that something is growing on the other side and it's quite thick that's stopping you or blocking the doorway from being opened.
So it's a push.
Um,
Come, help me, Miles.
Yep.
Push it open.
Do you want to go first? Do you want me to assist you?
Yes.
I don't.
20.
The door is stuck.
This is stuck.
Okay. Whatever. Is there any other doors?
Hold on. Step back for 1 second.
Oh, okay.
And she'll pull out her bastard sword
Mm-hmm.
and she'll swing it at the door. It's not iron bound or anything. It's just a wooden door.
Oh, let me check that. It's a sturdy wooden door. So no iron binding, and you start beginning to cut your way through the door. Chop, 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 choppity, chop, chops. Are you taking your time? Or are you trying to smash it with these things or breaking through the hardness?
I don't need to take
It doesn't
so-
take, well,
I'm going to hit it, right?
yeah, you're going to hit it, but I guess just do a damage roll for me. That's probably the best way of doing this.
That'll work.
So we leveled up. So I'm just double checking that that's 26.
Okay. You use your bastard sword and you cleave through the door, and a massive crack opens up within the door. And as soon as you do that, you get spores of kind of like mushrooms and, the fungal spores that would come. They start streaming into the room. It's not like it's going to choke you or anything, but you get through to the other side. But it's not just the door here. There's something blocking it from you'd think, it's going to take you a long time to get through, or you might have to find another way into that room.
This is not going to be good.
Are the spores actually coming into the space where we are now?
Yeah, you can see like some of them. It's not dangerous or anything, but like if dust would come through or the opening, like, yeah, you've gone through and you kind of have chopped through the door, and on the other side you can see more mushrooms and fungus. Like, I'm assuming it's like a mat of like fungus on the other side, like mold.
It is
like,
gross.
yeah.
I'm still going to... I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 again. I'm going to light a torch and throw it in there. Just see what happens.
Okay, you can't throw it in there because it's not open. There's no
Okay,
egress.
I light a torch and I push it against the mushy bit.
Yep. So you push it against essentially moss would probably be the best way to describe it, like a chunky moss, and parts of it burn and then smoke, and then kind of your torch, it doesn't catch on fire and light up. I guess Miles, it's probably an interesting idea for you to do that in the archives level of right next to the scriptorium.
I think we should look for another option. Let's keep looking around. Hey, is there another door in here we didn't open?
There is.
Let's do that one.
Yeah.
That
a
one
door
looks easier.
That has a sign, you've seen it on it before, that says archives, private.
It's not for you, Miles. You're more of a Commodore.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Come on then. I mean, when I say come on, go on then.
Yep. Okay. I'll try and open the door before Tia can kick it open this time.
Yeah, this door opens easily once you've moved all the boxes that were
Very strong,
that were-
Miles. Well done.
Yeah, there were certainly things in front of this one. This one probably was more covered than the other one, but moves straight back into that room with the desks in it where the where all the writing was with the writing implements, the 3 desks that were in the middle with the notes and the
Getting
the
a
stuff.
sense of the geography, is there another
You can-
doorway that you'd think would be into the room
getting
that
a
we haven't
sense
gone
of
into?
the geography to let you know. You think the room at the end with the mushroom goes across these 2 rooms.
So let's
So
have a look at the
It's
other
backed
side
on.
of
So
this.
you came from the north. You came southerly in the middle down a corridor, and that corridor that you came in has split to the left and to the right, and you've done 2 rooms on either side on the north. I should use, if I said north south, I should say east and west. So you went never wheat bix. So you went west first, and then you went south into the south from the western room. Then you went south again into a room that looks like it might traverse across, like even
that's-
from where that shrieker mushroom went longer than this room is wide. So you think that maybe the door with all the fungus on it leads back into that shrieker mushroom room.
Shall we go and check the other room with the shrieker in it and just see if we can
Yeah, if
find another way into the
if we find out what's shrieking, let's kill it and keep going. Yeah.
yeah, let's kill the thing. Yes. Let's
Are
go.
we sure we want to kill the thing?
What thing?
I mean, does this look like it's been they would do this deliberately? Keep mushrooms here, jamming doors.
Let's do this while we walk around to the
Yeah.
shrieker room. Go there, and then
So you stand at the precipice of the shriek room having this conversation.
having had it on the journey there,
Like-
yes, kill it.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Cool. Sure.
What we know is we need to get to a Siriani cylinder that is in Esmeralda's hands, and this is the only option we haven't uncovered yet, right?
I thought we were finding her.
Well, she, yeah, sure.
Yep.
We found a guy with burnt off legs. I don't think she's going to be doing too good.
If you really want to find the person over the artifact, sure, I'm interested in that cylinder. This is the only way that we haven't explored, so let's
do it.
crack on through.
Yeah. So once again, you find yourselves in that chamber. I'll just read this again so that you've got it. The chamber contains several tall wooden bookshelves that reach all the way to the ceiling. Remember, Miles tried to push these over, almost bursting with the weight of books and scrolls filling the shelves. The shelves and their contents are encrusted with a thick growths of brightly coloured fungus and glistening mould. Many tomes have fallen from the shelves, their open pages forming the base for more fungus and large mushrooms which carpet the floor. The air in here is damp and close, and several of the fungal growths pulse with an eerie purple light that dimly lights up their room. Now, last time you came in here, I think you sent Cinder down to do a little fly around the room, and as soon as Cinder got to a part, you just heard a
Wow.
and it continued on for an extraordinarily long time that I'm sure was really fun to edit.
Tia is going to just keep walking in with the cloth around her face, and she doesn't care. She's moving through.
Okay. Tia walks around with a cloth around her face, torch in her hand because it's glowing and it's dark in here.
Ever burning torch.
Okay, so you start moving downwards. Tia moves about 15 foot before a couple of things happen simultaneously. Number one, you hear that same sound. Just as loud as anything. You can't talk, you can't operate, you can't do anything. Within 50 foot of what is emanating from that, and we'll get to that in a second from Tia's perspective, but all of you hear this loud shrieking noise. It's like an alarm going off. If you've ever been in a building that a fire alarm's or a burglar alarm's going off, that's incredibly loud. It's piercing your eardrums. It's almost disorientating. The second thing that happens is that you see spores of brown kind of stuff come into the air. And Tia, I need you right now. Wait a second. So I'm just reading this. Tia feels a coldness, I guess, as these spores kind of go. and move out as Tia steps on something. It kind of, I guess, imagine the carpet is like moldy and squishy. She steps on a bit that's almost like a bellows that pushes spores up from another section. And it looks like there isn't even a save on this. This is what I'm trying to look for at the moment.
Surely there's a save.
In answer to the question, now I had a look at this. It comes under special hazard, and there is no save because it's triggered by something. So
I'm triggered.
it's very interesting. It's triggered by something that has to happen.
We will endure.
So Tia. Now, Tia's probably the best person to take. Tia, you take 9 points of cold damage that is non-lethal.
I thought he said con
I
damage.
thought he said con damage as well, yeah.
That is non-lethal as these spores hit the air and they just get very, very cold. So just to remind you about non-lethal, like unlike normal damage, comes from the bottom. Like if you think of damage as 2 metered, like a line, normal damage comes from the top down. Non-lethal comes from the bottom up. If those two things meet each other, she goes unconscious.
I got it.
Yeah, was for Luke.
She keeps walking.
Fair.
Yeah. Okay. Everybody else can, like, you guys are all sitting there. You kind of see this aura of stuff inside Tia's head. It
freezes.
She hears a voice, but
If
not
this
a
is
voice.
Attack the Halfling, we're all in trouble.
It's
I'd probably allow it.
the fingernails sing.
Yeah, so they're nice fingernails. I keep them nice for
Again,
the
the whole
sword.
thing. Yeah. You're like, how did you hear that? How do elves sporulate? It's, and Tia's like looking around, like, I guess Tia would be wondering, how the fuck can I hear this? It's just
Sure.
sort of
All
in her
Go for it.
head
Sure.
and stuff.
I don't know that they should think that deeply about it.
Can the circumference of the moon dream and rain?
What is circumference?
Yeah. And you keep going down?
Yeah, she keeps walking. She's looking for something that's screaming to hit.
When she goes about 20 feet,
Mm-hmm.
Miles is going to cast his hex flight on himself,
Mm-hmm.
and he's going to follow.
Hang on. Sorry, was Tia good? I thought we were all going down.
I don't know what you guys are doing.
Oh,
I'm
sorry,
playing
you
your character.
guys, I thought
Reggie's-
you guys were all staying behind.
No, Reggie's following Tia. He's backing her up. Come on, we're a duo now.
Let's go. Yes,
I trip,
let's
she
go.
hits. That's the thing
You
we
guys
do.
head on out while I just check out these books over here.
Yeah. Okay, so Miles casts himself a fly spell as Reggie and Tia keep maneuvering down. So I'm assuming Miles is casting that while Flopsy's back with Miles. Is that what I'm thinking here?
Flopsy's not going in just yet.
Yeah.
He's
So-
trying to get a sense of, and will do knowledge geography if required to ascertain what these spores are.
Mm-hmm. They're plants, so nature is probably what you would need.
Oh, well, he'll do that then. Can he do that?
Mm.
Let's do that. 21.
What you identify is that these there is a whole heap of different natural funguses in here, including something that's called a shrieker. The shrieker essentially is a mushroom that fills up with gas when it's triggered, usually by something like light, heat, those things. It releases the gas, it shrieks, it makes this noise for a period of time. That's usually in conjunction with more aggressive types of fungus that go from it. What you do notice is that some of the fungus ain't from around here. It's foreign to you. Some of it looks otherworldly, I guess, or that comes from maybe a different plane. Maybe it comes from the deep of the Underdark, or maybe it comes from under the ocean. Who knows? But some of it is very much foreign to you, and I guess aberrant, if that can make sense.
Got it.
Like, imagine a fungus with a fungus on it.
Yep.
That kind of thing. It's
It's
like
a fungus squared.
yeah, it's very strange to you.
Oh, and Flopsy just mumbles, very different, interesting. And that shrieker will stop after a little while and then run out of air. Well, go down
I would
there.
just like to point out
And
that
no one can hear Flopsy mumble.
fungus often grows on top of fungus.
Reggie, as you're walking down, you hear in your eyes, in your ear, like
You're in my eyes.
Jeez. It's probably the best way because you can't hear anything else. Like your eardrums, it's blasting so much, but you get this same kind of sense. Like, does the sun need to drink? And
I don't know, does it?
weird kind of
Do I take the damage as well, or is that just the person that triggered whatever?
thing. Oh yes, no,
No.
only Tia took the damage because she's the one that triggered it, and she was right next to it.
You're going to load a light crossbow while I'm walking?
Yeah, and then just make a perception check, Tia and Reginald, for me, please.
Gladly.
This is Tia's business. After you.
28.
7.
I thought we were going to have 2 whopping scores there.
You kind of walk around one of the bookshelves into the corridor, and you can see this end of the whole, I guess, a library. Let's call it parts of a library or whatever that is.
Scriptorium.
Yeah,
I've just got the opening scene of Ghostbusters in my brain
Yeah,
right now.
think that, but think instead of ghosts or slime, it's all fungus. And the floor here, it's become tricky to walk on. It's become hindered terrain for those of you that are affected by hindered terrain. I'm not sure if you are, but you kind of walk around there, and like seeing Slimer, both of you see a veiny, swollen bulb that bears a disturbing resemblance to an oversized brain that squats atop 5 ropey legs, haphazardly encrusted with fungal shelves and bearing folds that resemble gills. A wide orifice with chitinous teeth like ridges gapes at the top of the creature, fringed with waving filaments and 2 long tendrils that seem to lash the air. Its form seems overlaid with a confusing welter of rapidly changing parts, flickering images, and it makes it very hard to see. I know what went through your head then. Yes, it's like a giant penis with a hole in the top and tendrils down the bottom. It's a mushroom.
Usually penises do have a hole in the top.
That's what I'm saying. But this
Didn't
one's
have
got
tentacles
teeth.
coming out of
Yeah,
it.
this
So
one's got
it
teeth.
looks like something I want to
Teeth.
shoot. So I'm going to look at T. I'm going to say,
Well,
I think I'm going to shoot that.
yeah, you do. But before that, I need both of you to make a will save for me.
A will save. Oh dear.
This should be fine for you.
13.
Tia?
16.
Tia, I don't know whether it's your resolve or whether you're just too dumb to notice, but the unsettlingness of this creature, it grates on you, and just the idea that you're not sure where it comes from and the way it's changing and all of the weirdness of it. But your fortitude, your will of mind, gets you through it.
Fucking mind.
Whereas
I was going to say
Reginald,
fort save, but I didn't.
for the remainder of whatever happens, you're going to take -2 to your attack rolls as you start getting confused. You start seeing things differently.
I'm getting
You
high.
start- yeah. And
Just on hits.
yeah.
All right.
Okay. At the back of the party.
Miles is going to start flying forward.
So you start moving down the corridor behind them, just not touching the floor. I think that's
Correct.
the intention.
Yep.
Here.
He has 3 levels, so he can levitate if he needs to or fly. Doesn't need to roll because he's awesome. 'Cause it's not a...
What's your fly? Do you have to use skill to hover and all
it's
that?
a magical one. I don't
Yeah,
have to do
but
shit.
what's your
Speed?
No, your maneuverability. Are you perfect?
I'm perfect.
So you're gonna have to look that up.
No.
'cause it's,
I just need to look up the speed.
Actually, no. I
yeah,
don't.
yeah. Because otherwise, you need to roll fly checks to
I
do
know,
certain
that's
things
why
like hover.
That's why I took it,
And-
is because I didn't have to do flight checks because it's not something I'm going to be using a lot. But yeah, no, that's why I definitely took it, because I didn't want to have to roll flight checks.
Hang on, you're not going to use it a lot? I would be using that all the time.
I only get it 1 minute per round. 1 minute per level per day, and it's broken up into that.
Okay.
So
1 minute per round. Shit.
Time warp.
He is a witch.
So it doesn't give you armor check penalties and all that kind of stuff.
nope.
That's why it's so restricted on the time then. Otherwise, that would be a little bit OP.
So you get a bonus on fly that is half of your caster level. Your maneuverability is good
Where are you reading this?
in the description of the spell.
Not the spell, supernatural ability. You look up the
Yeah.
hex.
Is it the witch's hex? Is that different to the spell?
Yeah. Always.
It does say as per the spell.
Yeah. So your fly maneuverability is good. So just so you know, there are times where you are going to have to make checks for that. So just let's put it this way. If you want to move less than half your speed, you have to make a fly check. If you want to hover, you have to make a fly check. If you want to turn more than 45 degrees, fly check. Turn 180 degrees, fly check, up and
Well, it
down.
also has 3 modes though, because it also has
check.
feather fall, levitate, or fly when I cast it.
Oh, what
Yeah,
does
so
levitate do then?
levitate just goes straight up and down.
Yep.
So you have no momentum going forwards or backwards
Yeah,
or
but that's what I'm
anything.
saying. If I want to stay still,
So-
it would switch to levitate.
And
And then if I was wanting to fall down slowly, I'd switch to feather fall.
so what do you mean it's got, is it that's not like the spell, obviously?
No, the flight supernatural starts off as feather fall, and then as I grow in level, it gets better and better.
So you've only got access to featherfall, or you've got enough levels to get up,
I've got up to fly.
up to fly.
Yeah.
So you'd have to cast different hexes. You could cast those 3 things as different hexes.
I don't know. They don't go that much into it.
Right.
Lindsay doesn't read that far.
No,
in.
it doesn't go that much into it. At first level, the witch can use feather fall at will.
Yeah,
Gains a +4 racial bonus on swim checks.
yeah.
At 3rd level, she can
So
cast
it's a-
levitate.
Yeah, so it's an action to do, like all your
Yeah,
hexes.
which
it'll
I've
be-
just done.
So if
Yeah.
if you wanted to change to levitate, that's an action to change to levitate. You don't get fly and levitate at the same time. You get featherfall, fly, and levitate as part of this, but each one of them is like a hex that you have to cast. So featherfall is a free
You
action.
aren't able to. Anyway, whatevs. Got it. I got the limitations of how far I can push you.
Well, at 3rd level, she can cast levitate once per day. So you don't get it all the time. You get it once per day.
Mhm.
So, and then the fly is in minutes. So all of those things are separate as their thing. Anyway, you're moving down the corridor a little bit, and you're moving at half speed. So can you make a fly check for me? Add half your level to that fly, because you get a fly bonus of half your level with the spell.
But he moved more than half speed, right?
Hmm?
More than half his movement.
No, you can't.
Why?
Because it's not that far.
21.
21. You're fine. So you start moving down there, and you stop at half of your speed, but behind where Reg and where Tia are. Flopsy, are you doing anything?
Flipsy's staying behind. I think he understands and isn't sure why everyone else doesn't understand that Shriek will run out of air soon.
Mm-hmm.
And you can always just turn the lights out. But
I don't
these
wanna
people
stop.
need to see.
If there's a creature there, I want to investigate the creature.
Mm-hmm. You aren't around the corner enough. There's literally not enough space. There's only enough space for Reg and Tia to see the creature that
But
they see.
how high is it?
What?
I can fly.
The room is, the whole space in here is only 15 foot high. Remember, there's bookshelves from floor to ceiling in here, and corridors and bookshelves.
Okay.
So that
I think Lindsay's saying he's going to fly over our head and keep going at full speed. And
You haven't
his
got
Yeah.
enough
movement.
space for that, though, have
there's
you?
not enough space for it.
Well, for me, there would be. You can get over me, but
Well, unless T is 15 feet tall, I can't see why I can't go over her head.
To get there,
6'6".
So the ceilings are 15 foot high.
Three tiers high.
what do they need to be for you to fly over everybody?
So, well, I mean, getting into that space, I'm not sure how, you can't occupy those same 2 spaces and stuff.
Okay, sure.
It's a different physics here.
Yeah.
It's not physics, it's a magical fucking world.
Let me draw a
Okay,
triangle.
I'm not arguing about it. I'm moving forwards. You're where you are, Lindsay. I'm not
I'm
playing
not gonna
fly
fucking
anymore.
fly down the hall if I can't
Read the
get
fly
anywhere.
rules next time, and we wouldn't have spent 10 minutes on fly rules.
man.
So where you stand, you don't see the creature that's up ahead of you, Miles, but these two
You can see that
obviously,
Reg looks rather disturbed.
obviously have. You see Reg's kind of, something about him looks very weird. So he looks a bit pale at that point. This is where we need to call for initiatives.
Yes. Yas, queen. Little Reg gets 22.
Reg gets 22. Miles,
15.
Tia,
10.
Flopsy.
23.
Oh, nice, Flopsy.
Natural 20.
And Flopsy, while you see kind of, I guess you see Reg taken aback and get into some kind of stance, maybe a defensive stance, which triggers you that something is going on here. What are you going to do?
Just keep reading these books and trying to see what they say behind these spores that he's more intrigued about, wondering why his team has moved forward. Hold.
Okay. Reginald.
So little Reg is going to quiveringly aim his crossbow and shoot at the mushroom.
Like what you did there with quiveringly.
Yeah. Like that.
With his quivering palm.
16 to hit.
Yes.
Lovely. And that is 3 points of damage.
3 points of a damage.
Is that a D8?
D6 because it's a
right.
small scaled light crossbow. Yeah.
Got it.
I love rules.
You're on it.
All right. That brings us down to Milesy. What are you going to do, Miles? You're sort of stuck behind everyone.
Because you wouldn't let me fly up. So now I have to do the flight check again to go straight up because I couldn't fly up at an angle because you wouldn't let me do it.
You could go back, do a flight check for 180, and then
Sounds like a skill
Yeah,
issue.
your options from here, Miles, is you can go down this corridor that you. So essentially, with the bookshelves the way they are, they're petered off into. So that's what is the big barrier for you, is that with all of the hindered terrain and everything that's in here, with all of the moss down this side of it, everything is hindered terrain.
I fly straight up.
And then you have to, so to get around them, you can go around the bookshelves. So you have to go around to the other side of the bookshelves, or you know, getting in there, the roof space in here is hindered by all of the fungus and stuff.
Tia will let you fly past. She's not going to attack you.
There is nowhere that you're at the end of the corridor. That's what I'm saying. So
I
you've
can't
moved
help feel
all the
for
way
you,
down the
Lindsay,
corridor.
The big problem, the big barrier for you is not the corridor; it's GM.
He goes at me constantly. All you do is the same two things, and I try and do something different, and I get
what are you
bored.
trying to do? Because I get what I asked you before, Lindsay, is are you just trying to do it so that you're not standing on the floor? What are you actually trying to do?
Yes, I'm trying not to stand on the floor, and I'm trying to get above tier so I can see what the fuck's going on.
Okay,
They all stop.
You can't get past or above tier. It's all blocked up there. So you literally cannot do it. It would be like trying to fly over someone standing in here, because with the beams and the stuff that's like the fungus in here. You know how I said it's
Challenge accepted.
It's all clogged up there. So
it's not just a clear 15-foot height.
it's
there's
not just
stuff
a
in the way.
move through
Right.
or move past kind of thing. It's like if you wanted to stay above tier, you could, but if you wanted to move around or past tier,
I said above tier.
do you want to move past tier?
No, I want to be above
You
tier.
cannot do that.
Okay, well then I
Can
go
you move
back.
So
through
I
tier
don't know
space?
how I make this clear. You can't do it.
You literally
You know,
just
I'm the
said
GM. You can't do
play
it,
it back,
Lindsay.
and you literally said you can be above tier, but you can't move past tier. And I said I want to be above
you
tier.
can only move past tier. So that you can move through tier square, you cannot move above tier. It's all
Okay,
blocked
I fly
up
back
there.
to Flopsy then.
Okay. You can go around to the other side though.
Go in. This is bullshit.
Yeah. So imagine a big rectangular room, right? They've gotten sorted to the end of what the corridor is, and there's all these bookshelves. These two have gone to the end, and you can sort of go down one of the other bookshelves to have a look at what's down the other end.
Oh, thank fuck you can only do this
Okay,
once a
fine.
day.
I do that.
Yep. Okay, so you move down to the other end of the bookshelves. As you get to the other wall, Lindsay, you see that same creature, this bulbous head, long tentacle creature. And as you're looking at it, can you make a will save for me, please?
14.
A 14 is enough for its unsettling appearance not to affect you in any way, shape, or form. So that was only one movement for you to get there. What is your move speed at this point in time, your fly speed? Are you 60?
Yes.
Yeah. Because you're not in medium armor, are you?
No, I have to wear armor.
Yeah. So you still have a move or an action
I would
left.
like to make a knowledge check on that creature, please.
Yes, you certainly can. Can you do a knowledge nature, please?
21.
21. It is not enough for you to recognize what this creature is. Whatever this thing is, it's unlike anything that you've ever seen. Doesn't even have, like, if you see something else, you might go, oh, that looks like it could be this or related to these kind of creatures. None of that even comes into your mind. So even looking at it, you're like, it could be, this other tentacled kind of thing. And then you're like, actually, no, that doesn't look anything like that. It'd be like seeing a, I don't know, something
You've
totally.
got no terms of reference.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I cast Misfortune on it then if I can't figure out what it is.
Okay.
What's it called? A will monster?
That is a 21.
That saves.
So it is unmisfortuned. That brings us down to its go.
Did Flopsy just see Miles fly past?
Flopsy would have seen Miles move down and then down one of the corridors.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, because you have to move down. You're essentially corridor like dominoes.
Yeah.
All the way down that you can't push over because they're attached to the roof. And again, Miles, even though the shrieking is happening, you're hearing that same kind of questions like, do you think trouts can swim upside down?
Do you think witches can fly through rooms?
They don't have brooms on them.
Is fly one a day too many times a day?
All right, so it is its go. It kind of looks around at this now flying creature that's moved sort of down into its area. It's got two other combatants, one of them of whom has shot it. So I think that you would probably...
One combatant and one just standing here.
Well, three combatants at this point because three things have come into its space. But it is going to, I think, it's going to move up within 15 feet of you, Reginald.
Come at me, bitch.
And it stays there, and one of the tendrils comes flying out of the creature in order to touch you. Oh,
Get out of my
20.
personal space. Yeah, that hit. Hang on. No, yeah, that hits. Sorry, I read a feat about... I was like, that'd be really cool to take. And for a minute there, I thought I'd taken it, but I haven't.
Did I take... No, fuck you, bitch.
Yeah.
Can you make another will save for me, Reginald?
It's a really cool feat. It allows you to take a sense motive check as your armor class.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
Yes. So you roll sense... As long as you're not taken flat-footed and you see the attack coming, you roll a sense motive check and that becomes your AC.
So second edition.
It's not second edition.
I thought it was
No,
Pathfinder 2.
that was first
Hang on.
edition.
Why are we listening to Luke about rules?
Also,
What was I rolling for?
A will save.
I will
please.
save. 23.
Okay. You feel like as this thing touches you, like these little tendrils kind of touch your skin, leaving a film to it. It seems to have gotten a poison or left like a residue there. And that residue seems to do something to you, but your eyes kind of fuzz up for a second, but your will of mind actually just pushes straight through it again, and you take no effect from what otherwise might have been some type of enchantment. And that moves us all the way down to the last person to move, which is Tia.
It has moved towards me, so I can step up and hit it.
It's 15 foot away from you.
Did it not just move?
15 foot.
It was 15-foot range. Reach.
Well, I will move 10 feet towards it.
Okay, so you move in. It provokes an attack of opportunity from this creature, Brett. And that's going to miss on an 8, I think.
That misses, yes. But half movement, right? So 10 foot.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's 5 foot away still.
You can...
That's how 15 foot works, right?
What?
She can only move half. She's a 20-foot mover. She can only move 10.
Oh, I thought you had a thing that you could move through hindered terrain. Not this character.
I'll take it.
Yeah. No, you can't move any further than 20 foot is your total double move.
Right. She'll move right next to it, but not be able to attack it.
Yep, provoking that one attack of opportunity.
Hello.
That's there.
does it answer back?
It does not, because none of you can hear it, because there is a at this entire time, causing
that.
more confusion. And no, it's coming from somewhere in the middle of the room. You think it's probably the next, bookshelf over from towards the door from
The
where you
screech.
are. Even the screech
Not, but the voices in our brains.
are coming from your brains.
Great,
Yeah.
but they're not. There's none of those right now.
No, they're still coming. You're
Okay,
getting
great.
incessant questions
Love it.
just over and over again. Like, can ducks go backwards on the moon? But none of it kind of makes sense. Even the
That's where Tia lives.
yeah, Tia's engrossed with this whole idea.
Ducks, yes.
What happens in the next round, though? At the very beginning of the next round,
There it is. Out of gas.
As
Time
the
to move along.
shriek-
It's a kazoo.
as the shrieker runs out of that gas and the shrieking sound dissipates a lot quicker than it did last time. But as soon as it stops, you can also hear
Yes, it's loading up. Put the conch in front of it. Quick.
like it's inhaling and that there's a whole heap of things that are going on about that. That brings us to Reginald. What are you going to do, Reg? This
So
thing's
half
15
movement.
foot away from
Yep.
you in hindered terrain.
So it's half speed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'll just walk. I'll move up to them. Half speed's 15 for me.
Oh, very clever little one.
Yep. I'm just
Holy
gonna-
one. Good job.
Yep. I'm gonna give it a smack.
Okay.
On a
And it
minus
gets
2 to hit.
no attack of opportunity against you because I don't believe, no, it does not have that.
Okay, so that is a 22 to hit.
A 22 definitely hits it.
Hang on, you're not in base?
Oh, I mean base to base.
Yeah,
Am I flanking?
Tia is
Oh,
base
I
to
didn't have
base.
enough movement to get around it.
You wouldn't be flanking, no.
Oh, that's a shame. Okay, so that is 4 points of damage as he smacks it right in the hole.
Okay. You can see, even as you're smacking it in its hole,
Magical weapon, don't forget.
that the crossbow bolt that you kind of pushed into it last time is slowly just edging itself out as if
Edging?
it's being pushed out as if it's being it's healing.
Can
up.
I smack it back in?
behind it.
So I punch you with a 3 damage. Can I smack the arrow back in?
Yeah, of course you can.
Sounded like you are punching a
It
wet
was
blanket.
4 damage, by the way. Give yourself some credit.
I said 4, didn't I?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said 3 just before. Could I punch it with 3 damage? Oh, you're going to punch it next round with 3 damage.
Probably, yeah.
It's there.
Can I move into in my next
Oh.
round? Oh, door. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you had a move and a.
Yeah, no, I was just
action.
going to say, am I in a position next round to be able to move into flanking?
You can't. Again, you've got to move through the creature because it's bull shells.
Gotcha.
It's
Can I fly
taken
over it and
up,
get
taken
into...
up the whole thing? I forgot to say that it was Flopsy's go because I missed you, Flopsy. So it's your go.
With the shrieker dying down, Flopsy will gently move through the room, trying to avoid any spores on the floor,
Yep.
stepping in the steps of previous people.
Yep. So you start moving. You avoid the area where Tia was, where
he will
you
take-
watch the spores come out.
Well, he will take the opinion that once that's been stepped on,
Mhm.
no more spores will come out.
Probably correct about that. And you move. You now that these guys have moved down like L shape, they went out of view. You can take their spaces,
And he can see this creature,
and you can definitely see.
and he's
the
going to do a
creature.
knowledge check on the creature, please. You said nature? 23.
Again, not anything that you've ever
It is-
seen before.
Oh, that's unusual. Well, maybe there's a book around here on it or something. Oh, wow. Yes. Perfect opportunity to throw a bomb, but 2 base to base. Hold on. I do wait.
Okay. So
We're on
Yeah.
police duty. You got to announce it first.
Stop or I'll shoot.
you've moved 20. You've moved 30 foot to get to where you are. at
But
this
hindered
point in
terrain?
time. That's
That's a double move.
Yeah. Oh, what's Flopsy's move? 20 again.
30, but double
Yeah.
move is
No,
30 foot.
that's what took you. You've used 1 move to get here, so you still
Oh.
have an action left if you want to.
I've used 30 feet of my movement.
Yes,
Got it. He might just he's going to pull a healer's kit out of his bag just
Mhm.
in case.
Mm-hmm.
We could collect some spores.
Miles, it is your go.
Okay, so Miles is going to do a loop-de-loop barrel roll, 180 on a 24.
Yep.
Fly back the way he came, and then go into the next style and try and look for that shrieker.
Okay.
You can be wild, weak man.
Is Cinder with you at the moment?
Yeah, she's in my pocket.
And she's lit up, isn't she?
Yes,
What's your intention here, Miles?
to find the shrieker, and then maybe kill it. I don't know.
Okay.
Or stick the conch in front of it, because I think that might be the only time the conch sounds.
Miles, if you just put a hole in it, it won't be able to expand and then shriek back out.
Oh, we could put something else in.
Also, while it's not shrieking and we can talk and it's easy, it doesn't like light. That's what will cause it to shriek.
Ah. Good point.
Put sunglasses on it.
As you move to this side of the bookshelf, so moving further away from your counterparts in the room, you indeed see a purple patch of mushrooms that look like they're a man size lying on the floor and sort of up half of a bookshelf. And the spores in these mushrooms, you can see all of the little kind of, they're open. So it's like mushrooms have opened their mouths and they're all kind of sucking in air at this point in time.
Mm. Interesting. So there's multiple of them.
Yeah, it's like
It's like a big fungus shelf sort of
it's
thing.
like a
rather.
mass of mushrooms that are all together that are the same style of mushroom, I guess.
Okay. I pull out the falchion,
Mm-hmm.
and with my large falchion and with some negative damage,
Yeah.
take a swing at it.
Okay.
Negative to hit. Yeah. It's a natural 1.
Okay.
Sounds about right.
Okay. Just make another hit for me.
It's a natural 3, so that'd be negatives.
-1. So that's -4, I think, is the only thing that you take from using that falchion.
There's an extra large one as well.
I think it's still only. Yeah. Oh,
No,
it's larger than your size.
Yeah, it's larger than my size,
It's
and
a
I'm not proficient with it.
Proficient and oversized.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's quite a few.
I do
So
have +3 to strength.
He doesn't hit, Justin.
I don't hit.
doesn't, but the problem is he
And
also
I have +1 to hit.
fumbles.
Yeah.
And I think you get negatives for attacking while flying as well, don't you? But anyway,
You'd have to read the fly rules, I guess.
who would do that?
Can you roll a percentile check? Because I forgot to bring my fumble deck today.
Always knew you were deckless. 68.
68.
Oh, wonderful good time.
Mm.
Somehow your hit kind of knocks the wind out of you and does so in such a weird spot that it hits your hex button, and you and your allies all suffer disadvantage for your next attack.
What? This is why I should misfortune you every morning when we get out of bed.
I will give everybody the chance to roll their wheel saves first. Is that
right?
so? Miles is going to take it, but
So
everybody else has to
very
roll
generous.
the wheel save.
Oh, fuck. Flopsy's on 20.
So you're
Reg is
fine.
Reg's on 22.
You're fine.
20 as well, or 22? Tia's on 9.
So Tia is misfortuned as well. So Miles and Tia come out of that misfortuned. That was a good fumble deck. I like that one.
Misfortune, that's Flopsy's
That's
drag
one.
name.
Oh, gross. Miles, can you do anything else in that?
No, that's an action and move action.
Well, yeah, move action. Yep.
And 3 hexes.
Yeah.
And drawing a sword. There's lots going on in that moment.
I gained split hex in for free.
Yeah. So
Burst
Again,
hex.
again,
that's
new
what
feat.
happens. You've hit yourself in your hex button, and it's broken. You broke
That's what
it.
I call my anus.
You broke your hex button off with your falchion. Jesus.
I call my anus Justin.
It's go. You see the large creature that is in front of you kind of take in air and just this bizarre sound that you've never heard before that's on different levels. It's like those monk sounds. It's shaking, it's room shaking. The ears, your inner ears are so discombobulated. I need all of you to make a will save. That is every person in the room.
That's the name of this episode. Make a will save.
20 for Reg.
You're
Remember,
fine?
we're misfortune tier.
Oh, are we?
No, just Tia.
Oh.
Is Cinder misfortuned?
It's an interesting question. Did you roll a will save for Cinder?
17 on that one.
So Cinder's fine.
Flopsy's at 22.
You're fine.
Tia went from like in the 20s to 14.
Okay, Tia is not fine. What about you, Miles?
Miles is on 6.
Miles is not fine as well.
Cinder is like 18.
Okay, Cinder is fine. At this point, the people that are not fine, you are what's called nauseated. So it has affected you so much in your inner ear that right now you can only take a move action and cannot attack, cast spells, or concentrate for a period of time.
Interesting.
And that's its go done. That brings us down to Tia. Tia, you're nauseated.
Blech.
A lot of bad things have happened to Tia in the last few seconds.
That's bullshit, man. We got hexed by a guy I couldn't see. Now I can't hit this thing. Bullshit, man.
So what are you going to do, Tia?
She's just going to move around into a flanking position with Little Reg.
You can't.
Can't I move?
You can move, but you can't move. You've got to
Past
move
it.
through the creature to get. You can't move.
That was
through
the issue I was
creature.
having.
To
How
get
high
to
is the creature?
to get to a flanking position, you would have to go around the other side, like the way that Miles went.
See? It wasn't just me.
No, I'm just trying to figure out how to do that without being able to do a standard action. I can't. So, as a move action,
You also know that if you can't attack, you are also not going to be able to flank because you have to be threatening to flank.
I don't think Tia knows that.
Okay, fair enough. That's a good point. That's a good point.
Tia's going to use one of her new abilities.
Yeah.
Called I don't fucking know what to do.
Okay, you can just hold. You could just delay. Do you want to move out? I
She
mean,
doesn't-
I know
she-
you can't attack, but if you've got a shield or something, you pull that out, pump your armor class up, maybe be the meat shield.
Yeah, she's going to just go oogada boogada and make herself a bigger target for this thing.
So, okay.
Come, hit me, little penis-like mushroom.
So Tia looks normal. Everybody else is nauseated and confused that is affected by this. This is just the same look Tia has on her face when she's dealing with the whole world anyway. And we find two of our people nauseated on the
Should she
verge
be
of throwing
confused?
up. Well, you're essentially your inner ears. You're nauseous.
Yes.
And you're confused because you're hexed and all of that
Confused
kind of
about
stuff.
why I can't hit it.
Yeah. All of these weird things
Yeah.
have happened to you.
Yeah.
And that leads us into another round and another game where we'll have to do that round.
Oh,
Don't worry, only lasts one round unless I laugh.
Cool. That's good.
It's fly 1 minute a day.
So is that what you're talking about?
5 rounds.
There's the guy, mushrooms and shit in the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
Where you drew a penis.
Yeah, I draw many penises.
Well, then the roof isn't 15 feet high.
No, the structure is 15 feet high.
That's what the guy looks like.
Sweet!
Did you just draw the guy?
No, I drew Tia in a cloak. I'm not that good a drawer to do that, but
Yeah. That
Gee,
gives you an
that was
idea
like
what the
looking in my
room looks
pants.
like. So that's you guys have come in there and moved down to that part. So
Mhm.
Miles has gone across there. You guys are stuck in this area here.
Cool. Glad we cleared that up. It wouldn't be our podcast if a moment like this didn't occur. Come on, Lindsay.
It can occur to you guys occasionally.
It does. But mine's not like that. Mine's always like, I don't know the rules at all.
All I got to say, I'm just going to take a moment here because I know you're salty, but all you had to say was, I'm intending not to stand on the floor and using fly to do that. I'm intending to do this. But you went, I'm going to move down. Now I'm going to move up. Like, you made some assumptions about the space that weren't there without asking the questions.
No,
around
I
it. That's
asked.
the mix-up.
I
that's
asked
there.
how high the roof was.
Yeah, where you took off, it definitely is 15 foot. But I had also explained that end of it was highly choked with fungus and all of that.
Well,
kind
I
of
would
stuff.
like you to listen to this episode.
I'm not going to
back.
do that, Lindsay. I'm just saying right now because
No one at this table listens to this
yeah,
episode.
I got a lot to do. But
I
saying what your intention is a lot easier, and I have asked you to do that before. That's where I will fall back to that moment right there. All right.
Well, I've asked you not to be such a cunt, and we look where we are.
Maybe read the fly rules at some point. Lindsay.
I knew the fly rules.
Okay. I want to go home tonight at some point.
It is late.